Good day, and welcome to Q2 FY22 earnings conference call for Balkrishna Industries Limited, hosted by ICICI Securities Limited. This conference call may contain forward-looking statements about the company, which are based on the beliefs, opinions, and expectations of the company as on date of this call. These statements are not the guarantees of future performance and involve risks and uncertainties that are difficult to predict. As a reminder, all participant lines will be in the listen-only mode, and there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions after the presentation concludes. Should you need assistance during the conference call, please signal an operator by pressing star then zero on your touchtone phone. Please note that this conference is being recorded. I now hand the conference over to Mr. Nishant Vas from ICICI Securities. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Thanks, Neerav. Good day, everyone, and thanks for joining us today for the call. From the management side, we are represented by Mr. Rajiv Poddar, Joint Managing Director, Mr. M.S. Bajaj, Chief Financial Officer. Now I'd like to hand over the call to the management for their initial remarks. Over to you, sir.
Hi. Thanks, Nishant. Sorry for the delay in starting because of some technical glitch, but I'm glad we can get going now. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. Wishing you season's greetings. Hope all of you, along with your near and dear ones, are safe and healthy. Along with me, I have Mr. Bajaj, President Commercial and CFO, and also SGA, our Investor Relation Advisors. Let me begin with performance updates. Demand continues to be robust across segments and geographies. Accordingly, we have clocked our highest ever quarterly sales and reported 72,748 metric ton for the Q2 of financial year 22. We expect this momentum to continue, and therefore we are increasing our guidance to 275,000 to 285,000 metric ton for financial year 22. This guidance is on the back of strong demand trends. Some portion of the incremental logistic costs have been passed on to the customers, which is reflective in our Q-on-Q increase in average selling price. In order to meet the buoyant demand, the board has decided to continue operations at the old Waluj plant. To achieve this, there will be a capex of 350 crores in form of installation of latest machineries, replacement of certain machineries, upgradation of certain systems, and some portion of civil work. The advantage of this capex will be to get the much needed capacity enhanced in a short period of time. The old Waluj plant, post this capex, will be able to produce 25,000 metric ton per annum. This capex will be incurred over a period of next 6 to 9 months. We expect this capacity to be available from Q3 of this financial year 23. The current achievable capacity is 285,000 metric ton per annum. This includes the new Waluj plant that commenced operations in September 21. The brownfield capex at Bhuj, announced in February, will add 50,000 metric ton per annum, and now the old Waluj revamped plant will add additional 25,000 metric ton per annum. Therefore, the entire capacity by the end of financial year 23 will be 360,000 metric ton per annum of achievable capacity. During October 21, the company raised long-term finance of rupees 500 crore. This was done in form of rated, listed, unsecured, redeemable, non-convertible debentures having a face value of rupees 10 lakh per debenture. In order to leverage the interest rate scenario and our euro receivables, we have swapped the debenture liability to euro fixed liability. Therefore, the effective interest rate will be 0.055% per annum. The repayment of this debenture would be spread over 3.5 years. With this, I now move on to operational issue highlights. Our sales volume for the quarter was 72,478 metric ton. This is a growth of 19% year on year. For the first half of financial year 22, sales volume stood at 141,356 metric ton, registering a growth of 42% year-on-year. Our standalone revenue for the quarter stood at 2,080 crores, which includes realized gain of foreign exchange pertaining to sales of 30 crores. For the first half of financial year 22, revenue stood at rupees 3,908 crores, which includes realized gain on foreign exchange pertaining to the sales of 45 crores. For the first half of financial year 22, 54% of the sales came from Europe, 17% from India, 17% from Americas, and the balance from rest of the world. In terms of channel contribution, 70% was contributed from replacement segment in the first half of financial year 22, while OEM accounted for 27% and the balance came from offtake. In terms of category, agricultural segment contributed to 66% in the first half of 22, while OTR, industrial and construction contributed to 31%, and the balance came from other segments. The standalone EBITDA for the quarter was 564 crore with a margin of 27.1%, while the first half EBITDA stood at 1099 crore with a margin of 28.1%. Other income for the quarter stood at 62 crore, while unrealized gain stood at 27 crore. For the first half of financial year 22, other income stood at 102 crores, while unrealized gain stood at 43 crores. Coming to the net forex items, for the quarter, we incurred a net forex gain of rupees 71 crore, which includes realized gain of 44 crore and unrealized gain of 27 crore. For the first half of 22, we incurred a net forex gain of 110 crore, which includes realized gain of 66 crore and unrealized gain of 43 crores. Profit after tax stood for the quarter at 377 crore with a margin of 18.1%. For the first half of 22, profit after tax stood at 708 crores with a margin of 18.1%. The contingent liability as of 31st March 21 was 65.4 crores as disclosed in our annual report. In the quarter one of financial year 22, certain tax assessments have been completed and the liability was crystallized at rupees 35.7 crores, which was included in the tax expense. In Q1 FY22, as income tax of earlier years. In Q2 FY22, remaining tax assessment has also been completed and the balance liability has also been crystallized in the quarter, and the same has been included in the tax expenses as income tax of earlier years. Our gross debt stood at 1,443 crores. Our cash and cash equivalents were at 1,659 crores, implying a net cash position. For first half of financial year 22, we incurred a total capex of 838 crores. Of this, approximately 700 crores has been spent on the new capex program of 1900 crores. For Q2 FY22, the euro hedge rate was at rupees 87.75. Forward hedge rate currently stands at rupees 89.70. The board of directors have declared a second interim dividend of rupees 4 per equity share, in addition to the rupees 4 per equity share in the Q1 of financial year 22. With this, I conclude my opening remarks and leave the shop floor open to Q&A.
Thank you very much. We will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 on their touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. A request to all the participants, please restrict to 2 questions per participant. If time permit, please come back in the question queue for a follow-up question. The first question is from the line of Ashutosh Tiwari from Equirus Securities. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi, sir. Congrats on good volume performance.
Thank you.
Firstly, we are seeing very sharp inflation in RM cost on a quarter-on-quarter basis. If I look at the per ton number, it's almost gone up by 12%. So, why it has gone up so much basically? Because I think generally companies are seeing 4 to 5% increase in this quarter.
Good morning. We are able to pass some shipping cost to the companies, and we have recovered the shipping cost. That is why our RM cost is showing less.
The shipping cost would ideally be part of other expenses, right?
Yes. So raw material cost, because we are importing the raw materials and 45 days inventory in transit, so that is why the main reason the raw material cost is lower.
Okay. And secondly, on the Waluj plant, because we are seeing such a strong demand, and the old Waluj plant is operational till I think September because all the production is happening from that plant only. So why can't that plant be operated if even now if the demand is so strong? Why we have to refurbish and then only restart the plant in say next year?
Yeah, so certain equipments were shifted to the new plant, which we were already in operational condition. So that has already got shifted. So we need to create the whole pipeline and everything. And also the civil work was very old. The pipes were very old. So that was the whole reason why we went out to a new plant. So those things need to be repaired. The utility section needs to be revamped, and before you start up some new production there. So we have taken this call to do it and get going. So it will take us 6 to 9 months to get going on that.
Okay. Thank you. I'll join back the queue.
Yeah.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Nishant Jalan from Axis Capital. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Congratulations on very good set of numbers. So my question is on the cost front. You did talk about that the ASPs are higher because some of the abnormal increase in freight expenses has been passed on to the customers. So just wanted to understand what is that quantum within the revenues. Basically, trying to understand where will ASP settle down once this freight rates normalize. So what is the underlying business ASPs and how much ASPs are higher because of these higher freight costs?
So basically, if you see, our earlier realization was about 266 rupees, which is now currently at 286 rupees. So we have passed on around 2 to 3% of price hike, which is coming in July. The rest was majority of it was owing to shipping cost reimbursements. So we expect it to be at those levels only. So that is what we expect it to be at.
Got it. And secondly, on RM cost, we have seen a further spike in crude in the last 3 to 4 months, right? It has gone up to almost 35. So are you seeing inflationary pressures in crude derivatives such as synthetic rubber, carbon black, tire cord fabric and all? And in that context, how do we see RM cost increasing over the next couple of quarters?
Yes, next quarter definitely some cost will increase of the raw materials. 2 to 3% cost increase will be there.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Jinesh Gandhi from Motilal Oswal. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. My question pertains to the price hikes. So in July, we took 2 to 3%. Any further price hikes post-July, or we are awaiting further price hikes from the competition?
No, we are proposing to take from January. We are working on the percentage yet, but from January, we are expecting to take another price hike.
Okay. And with respect to the capex, earlier we were guiding for about 1,000 crore of capex in FY22. Given that we are expecting our capex and new old Waluj has also come in, what would be the capex for FY22 and FY23?
So earlier our guidance was 850 to 900 in this financial year, but now we are looking to revamp it to 1100 crore in this capex of this year and similar amounts in the next financial year, which will cover both the project costs.
Okay, so second half will be investing just about 300 crores, is it? Given that first half was 800 odd crores.
No, 400. No, I said in my commentary that about 700 was given for in the first half of this financial year. 800 was my total capex. I'll repeat my statement.
1100 project.
Yeah, so I'll repeat my statement. For the first half of financial year 22, we incurred a total capex of 838 crores. Of this, approximately 700 crores has been spent on the new capex program of 1900. So we are now saying that for this financial year, we'll spend about 1100 crores. So that means about 400 crores will be balanced.
Right. So 1100 crores is the project capex, plus there'll be maintenance in that.
Yes.
Got it. And one last question on the logistics side. So freight rate seems to be coming down after seeing a substantial spike. But are we also seeing any improvement in availability of containers?
So firstly, the price hikes, we are seeing stability. We are not seeing the price going higher now, but we don't see it coming down, at least in this quarter. And yes, some availability has improved, but yet it is a challenge to get the containers that we desire in the volume that we look at. But yes, from before it is slightly better in terms of availability.
Got it. Thanks. I'll come back and see for my other question.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Joseph George from IIFL. Please go ahead.
Thank you for the opportunity. I just have two questions. One is on the ASP, you mentioned that the ASP for the quarter is slightly inflated because of the freight cost. So what I wanted to understand is in the December quarter and possibly in the March quarter, if the freight rates remain at these levels, so the 2Q level of ASP should be expected to continue. Of course, I mean, if you take further price increase and go up further, but the freight element in 2Q would be expected to repeat in 3Q and 4Q as well? Or did 2Q include some freight element from the previous quarters as well, because of which this quarter is artificially inflated?
So, no, there was no, Q2 did not have anything from Q1. So it was at Q3 we expected to be at the same level. Q4 may go up marginally because we are we are going to look at a price increase in the last quarter. So that impact may come in, but shipping cost will maintain itself if there is no further increase.
Understood, sir. And the second question that I had was in relation to your capacity. So you mentioned that currently it's about 285, and with the two phases coming in, the new Waluj and the refurbishment of the old Waluj and the new Bhuj, total will go to 360. But would it be right for me to assume that for the next, say, 4 quarters till the old Waluj refurbishment happens, your capacity will stay at current levels of 70 to 75, which is 285 divided by 4?
Yes, you're absolutely right. We start seeing some increase from Q3 and Q4 of next financial year.
Understood, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Vimal Goel from Union Asset Management. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity, sir. And congratulations on very strong volume performance. Sir, my question is on basically you've sort of given out a volume growth guidance of almost 25% for FY22. Just wanted to get a sense on how much has the industry grown, or what is your expectation of the industry to grow. And the connected question would be, if you could just share what is then your market share globally in the OTH tires. I just have a follow-up question after that. One more.
So you want to go ahead with the other question?
Yeah, I'll just go ahead. Yeah, sure. So if I heard you right on the capex, you mentioned that you will spend 1100 crore plus maintenance capex for FY23 and 24 each, right?
Yes.
Have I heard that right?
Yes.
Okay, fair enough. Sure.
So coming to your first question, there is no authenticated data on market growth per se, but our estimated market has grown about 4 to 4.5%.
Okay, and what would be your market share in agri and other the segments?
So overall, if I look at it globally on off-highway, we are about 5.5-6%.
5.5%-6% is your market share. Okay, fair enough. Thank you so much and all the very best.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Mr. Arun Subramaniam from Ampersand Capital. Please go ahead. Arun, your line is in talk mode. May I request you to go ahead with your question, please?
Sorry, we can't hear.
Arun Subramaniam.
Hi, sir. My question is that, like at the end of quarter one, you had said that your cost reserves are higher, but still, the actions that you are taking, you will be able to maintain your EBITDA margin at 28% level. And in quarter two, we have seen it falling below that. So, do you think that your full year guidance still can be achieved?
So, as we have always maintained, our endeavor has always been and will be to, in the long term, to maintain a EBITDA margin of 28 to 30% and a long-term sustainable basis. So that is what we tend to do. And quarter is very difficult to see, but we are close to the 28%. We are not very far out, and we expect that for the year we will make our best endeavor to maintain 28 to 30%.
Understood. And so now that you are facing all this capacity constraint, forget about the shipping side, your own capacity, you have an issue there in terms of meeting higher demand. Do you have a flexibility to improve your product mix, that is give preference to higher margin product or something which can help you achieve better margin?
We normally don't do that because eventually you have to serve the market. You know, every product of ours is important and it's all needed. I can't only give the tractor front tire, rear tires and not give the front, because you need all tires to operate the equipment. So we have to service the market also. So it's very difficult to do those changes for a quarter or something in that sense, because eventually in the long term you have to give customer care and customer service also.
Okay. And lastly, sir, if I can just understand that your total capacity, you are increasing it by just about 20%, which means that you may end up again facing capacity constraint very soon. So it looks like you have underestimated the market demand for your products or whatever. So it looks like you are running behind the curve in terms of your ability to push out more sales. So are you kind of thinking of doing something so that such a situation may not recur too frequently?
So, firstly, I think we estimated the market to come like this, and that's why we started our projects about a year back now, where we started planning and we made announcements and we started working on that. And that is the reason by the time we are hitting our full capacity, our new production will be up. So, as we say, Q3 onwards, we will start getting more products with us. So that was our estimation which we had done, and in the long term we are again looking at what is the possibility and working, and that will be our next round of capex, which we will do as soon as we start completing this round of capex.
Okay. And you have enough land and all those things in place?
Yes.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Sonal Gupta from L&T Mutual Fund. Please go ahead.
Hi, good morning and thanks for taking my questions. Sir, one, I wanted to understand there is a sharp increase in other expenses on a sequential basis also. And so just want to understand, is that related to the shipping cost or is there some other factor?
So the other expenses has risen by about 70 basis points Q on Q, which is mainly on account of shipping cost, which we were not able to pass on to our end users.
Okay. And just on this shipping cost, I mean, what portion of shipping cost can we say ballpark you're passing on? How much is passed through for you? Hello.
So, sorry, we don't have that number readily available with us, but we'll take it offline.
Okay. No, where I'm coming from is that, I mean, like right now we're seeing a very high increase in shipping costs, and that has meant that you have, like you mentioned, in your realizations also seen an improvement because there's some pass-through of the shipping cost. So, I mean, like, but these things can change sort of rapidly. So I'm just saying that, once the shipping cost comes down, those charges to the customers will also come down, right?
Yes, 100% it will come down. So, I mean, very approximately, about 50% of the shipping cost has been passed on.
And what would be the total shipping cost? Any number you can give for this?
1 second. Approximately 6 to 7%.
This is at current rates of.
Yes.
I mean, like it could have been lower in the past, right?
Yeah, it has been lower. It's been about 2% in the past, 2 to 2.5%.
Okay. And just my last question, I mean, like more from a longer term perspective, like you mentioned that, I mean, the current expansion is taking place, but are there any product lines or new product areas that you want to get into? Or, I mean, like, I understand we have a significant runway in terms of the market share gain that you can achieve. So it's just more of market share gain, or do your product lines also need to change a little bit as you try and expand further?
So it's mainly the same product line, off-highway tires, so meeting all the demands of in these geographies and these segments.
Got it. Great. Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Kaushal Maru from DSC Mutual Fund. Please go ahead.
Hi, so you talked about a very strong demand environment. Can you give us more color between agri and mining and in the different geographies? What gives you the confidence for upping the volume guidance?
So I think the overall we are seeing strong demands in all sectors. So it's difficult to say agri or industrial or construction. So all segments have been good and robust, and also the H1 performance has been strong enough. So where we clocked nearly 140,000 metric tons. So with that, on those bases is what we are saying that we can probably get these numbers of what we are talking about.
How has been the demand in US per se and in mining?
Sorry, I lost your voice. How has the demand been in?
US overall?
Yeah, US has also been good, and we are gaining market share also over there. So it's been a good quarter.
Overall, on mining side, efforts with the new product lines that we have gotten around, is there visible improvement in market share on the mining side, please?
Yeah, so if you see from our product basket, earlier what was 8% has gone to 13% in OTR and mining. So there's an increase, from 8%.
Product basket going up, sir, means?
So from our share of product, in segments, 66 came from agriculture, and OTR contributed to about 13%, 13. Which was earlier about 8 to 9%. So there is a significant gain in that.
Got it. Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Ronak Sarda from Systematics Group. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Thanks for the opportunity. So firstly, in Q2, can you just give us a ballpark number of what was the cost of natural rubber, synthetic rubber, and the other cost in terms of per kg?
So natural rubber average cost was around 137 rupees a kg.
Okay.
And synthetic rubber was around 152 rupees a kg.
Okay, thanks. The other question was, after almost like 2 or 3 years, we are operating at 100% utilization now. So excluding the shipping cost, can you highlight where are we seeing the operating leverage benefits? Because despite at peak utilizations, margin both in terms of per kg or percentage where we look at it looks to be on the lower side.
No, I think if you see the things, the staff cost, etc., is all down, but unfortunately the RM cost and shipping cost has gone up so significantly that they have overshadowed the cost benefit that we have got. But if you see, where the RM cost should have been impacted and the shipping cost, if we had passed on that without having these other improvements, the margins would have been on a different page. So because we have been able to get those gains, it is not down to the extent that they have impacted us.
Got it. Sure. And just a clarification on the previous question. When you, our mix on OTR is almost 31% odd. You meant mining of that has gone up from 8 to 13%?
So OTR, industrial and construction contributed to 31%. Of that, 13% came from mining business.
Okay. And that used to be 8% few years
8 to 9%, yes.
Okay. Sure. And is there a possibility, given how the demand scenario is, you will have to start prioritizing the sales to different geographies right now, or are we able to manage the production over the next 2 or 3 quarters?
No, we are managing that. Customers knew that we are at these levels, so they've been placing orders based on their requirements. So at the moment, we are managing it.
Okay, sure. Thank you and all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you. A request to all the participants, please restrict to 2 questions per participant. The next question is from the line of Pramod Amte from InCred Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. So the first question is with regard to the European agri demand situation. So if I have to look at ETRMA data, so it shows a 16% decline for September quarter for the replacement market. What is happening on the European replacement market for tractor tires, and do you see this deceleration to continue?
So, we are seeing a good demand in European tractor replacement market, and we expect it to continue.
But if I have to look past the last 2-3 years trend, wherever such prolonged downtrends happen, you also usually follow the industry, right? So what are you doing this time which can make you to outperform consistently forward?
So I think all the branding efforts that we have been doing, the marketing and branding in Europe is coming into play now. So that is one aspect which we have been doing differently. Our channel partners have also been planning better. So I think a combination of lot of things put together is what is there.
And would you be able to give what is the market share increase you might have had in first half, in especially European replacement market?
No, it's difficult to give those numbers because there's no authenticated data to what is the market share and what is that. But so it's difficult to give those numbers.
Sure. And with regard to Waluj plant, with the new capex, is there going to be a product profile change which is going to happen from the same plant?
Yeah, marginally it will be different, what they were doing earlier and also what the tires are required. So very marginal, but it will be in the same segment. And that's why these capex is required to adhere to that production capacity.
Am I right in understanding it was earlier India agriculture cross-ply tires? So you will continue to make the same from this plant?
It was not, it was cross-ply, but not for India, it was for export also. And now it will be agricultural as well as industrial tires for India and abroad, for overseas.
Okay, sure. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Chirag Jain from DAM Capital Advisors. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity. Just a clarification in terms of capacity from a medium to long-term perspective. How much more, let's say, headroom we have in terms of brownfield expansion beyond, let's say, 360 capacity that we are doing? And when probably we would have to go for greenfield expansion? Any color on that?
So we are already working on that. We don't have the details of that yet ready. But for the timing, we have sufficient space to do brownfield before we can think of before we do another greenfield. We suspect, our estimate is that we could do another round of capex as a brownfield before we need to start searching for greenfield.
Okay, so even beyond 360, we have, let's say, reasonable headroom for a brownfield expansion before, let's say, going for a greenfield expansion.
Yes.
Okay. That's helpful. Second, on the RM cost inflation, any number or data point that you can share that compared to last year or last quarter, how much increase we have seen and how much price hike, let's say, we have done and the kind of under recovery so far?
So in the quarter, we did about 2 to 3% of price hike in July. And on the RM, your question was?
So in terms of the cost increase and maybe the under recovery, so price hike has been 2-3%. So how much, let's say, more price hike we would be needing to pass on, let's say, the fully, let's say, RM cost? I mean, hypothetically.
So raw material price increase overall on the total cost was approximately 2.5%, but shipping cost was much more higher. So raw material cost we have covered almost fully, but shipping cost there is deficit.
For which we are planning to take a price hike in the first quarter of, in the Q4 of this year, financial year. So that should get covered. If there is no further increases, we should hit those, cover the bases over there.
So by and large, we are passing on the cost impact from raw material. It's just that on the shipping side, partially we have covered and partially we plan to do it in January.
Yeah. At today's levels. Now, if there is a further increase, then that may lag by another quarter.
Yeah, understood. Yeah. That's it from my side. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Ankit Kanodia from Smart Sync Service. Please go ahead.
Thank you for taking my question. My question was related to the kind of expansion which we are doing in terms of the capacity. Do we think that there could be a scenario in maybe late FY22 or FY23 that our capacity remains a constraint compared to the demand which we would witness? How much of that risk we would prescribe to it today?
So, as you know, as you've been seeing, we are already starting to plan a year in advance for this round. So, as and when we start reaching capacities coming up, we will start planning the next quarter, next round of capex also. So, because we have the, in a brownfield, it's always like that, where once you hit a certain number, once that is up and running, you start planning further. So, that's what's going to happen. But we can easily do another round of capex over here in these brownfield ways before we need to start looking out.
Any number you can put in, as in how much it will take, how much time it will take to bring up the brownfield and up to what capacity in terms of metric tons?
So what we are saying is from Q3, this round of Q3, from Q3 of next financial year, this round of capex will start kicking in and it will be completed by the end of financial year 23. So you will have that, and by that time we will see the scenario and we can start planning, because a brownfield will take us about 12 months to come. So by the time this is getting ready and getting utilized, we will be ready for the next round of capex and also starting the work on that.
Thanks. And second question was related to our market share. So, as we have discussed in earlier calls as well, in the period when the overall global 5-way tire market was pretty stagnant, we still continued to grow our volumes. Now, when generally there is a buoyancy seen in the market, so how do we see our market share moving in the next 2, 3, or maybe 5 years?
So, as I said, our current market share is about 6%. Our vision is to go to 10%, and that's what we have been working towards. And we are aiming to get to those numbers.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Suraj from Compound Everyday Capital. Please go ahead.
Morning, sir. Thanks for the opportunity. So, my first question was on the average borrowing cost. You mentioned the average borrowing cost for non-convertible debentures, but overall, if I were to ask the average borrowing rate for which you are availing the borrowing facility?
So, for working capital is about 30 basis points.
30 basis points.
Yeah.
Perfect. And so, secondly, could you please again elaborate the raw material cost inflation, as in what was the reason that our raw material cost inflation has been more than as compared to say other companies?
Sorry, could you repeat your question?
So, sir, this is a follow-up question on the question asked by some other analysts. So, the question is, why our raw material cost has been increased by a bit more percentage than other companies? I just wanted to understand that we have seen a more raw material inflation comparatively.
So we are continuously buying in inventory, so we are stocking up for longer, as my colleagues mentioned. So all those things have also come into play, and it gets calculated in. That's why.
Okay. So, sir, so what is the lag time, if I may ask, for the increased raw material price to reflect?
Lag time means approximately 2 months.
2 months.
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you. That will be all.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Siddharth Bera from Nomura Securities. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Hi, sir. Thanks for the opportunity. Sir, my question is on the competition side in Europe. So now we have to raise prices because of the freight cost. So generally, we have maintained a sort of price gap with the larger players, like I think in the range of 10 to 12%. So now with these price increases, do you think that gap is coming down, or you think that we are still very competitive compared to the tier 1 players in Europe?
No, I think everybody is increasing the price, no?
Okay, but some peers might have their operations in Europe, so even they are also taking that type of price increase?
Yeah, because they also, the raw materials and all are also coming by from overseas. So if not finished good, the raw material aspect will come in for them.
Okay. But in the scenario when demand is so strong, so what restricts us from passing on the entire freight cost? Why are we looking at nearly 3 to 6 months lag in then passing on the entire cost?
So it's also you're servicing a market where you have to ensure that it's a customer friendly approach, because when markets are buoyant, you can do anything you want, but you also need to take care of these people because they will stick with you when markets are flat or down. So it's a give and take kind of scenario. So it's being passed on so that even they adjust to it and they can also pass it on further. So it's a gradual approach as opposed to being aggressive when the market is up. Yes, you can do in today's market scenario, you can do it. But if you look at long-term business sustainability, having a more customer care and customer-friendly approach is always better.
Okay, sir. Understood. Okay, sir. I'll come back in a few.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Abhishek Jain from Dolat Capital. Please go ahead.
Thanks for taking my question. Sir, your revenue mix was 23% for India last year, and it has come down to something like 16-17% in Q2. How is the outlook ahead?
Sorry, your voice is muffled. What came down?
Sir, your revenue mix was 23% from India last year,
yes,
and it has come down to something 16-17%.
Yes.
So how is the outlook ahead for India?
So I'll tell you, if you see India has come down to 17%, you are absolutely correct. There were two things which has impacted us in India. One is in the Q1 of this year, most of India was hit by second wave and was under lockdown. And Q2, being the monsoon period, there is less agricultural activities which are being done, and hence this has impacted us. But we foresee this to come back to our normal terms in the next half of this year. And going forward, we see India as a very, very good opportunity for us to continue to make headwinds here.
So most of the OEMs are guiding this FY23 would be a muted year because of the high base. So can we see that you will follow the industry trend?
We are also looking at replacement market where the demand seems to be reasonably okay. So we are quite buoyant on India for the next couple of years.
And sir, how much increase in the NP expenses in the first half, and how would be the trend going ahead?
How much increase in the
ad and promotion expenses in first half?
So our ad and promotion for this, you're talking about global, I'm assuming?
Yeah.
So globally, we have taken about 130 to 140 crores, and that will annually, and that will continue to be at that level. That's my budget, annual budget also.
Okay, sir. And My last question is related with the inventory level at a dealer level. How much is the current inventory?
So they're about 1.5 to 2 months.
Okay. Thanks, sir. That's all from my side.
Thank you. The next question is from Shashank Kanodia from ICICI Securities. Please go ahead.
Yeah, good morning, sir. Sir, could you share the outside carbon black sales volume and both in terms of volume and value?
So outside is approximately
5,000 tons.
5,000 metric tons for the quarter.
Okay. So roughly 45 odd crores, right? Sales value?
For the half year, it is about just about 9,000 odd tons. At about in terms of value, it is about 88 crores.
Okay. Second, sir, you have been alluding to you hitting probably one of the peak capitalization by the end of FY23 and have an aspiration to 10% kind of a global market share. So is it then given point that we will have this capex series years for good 3-4 years hence as well, wherein we spend something like 1,100-1,200 crores each year?
So yes, that's
or
what
you
we
will wait for market, because market demand and might not be that linear, right? So how do you see that?
At the moment, we are doing this round of expense, and then going forward, we'll see if we need to when we need to start doing our next round of capex, and we are already working on that.
And so generally, just one last thing, what is the difference in payback period between a brownfield and a greenfield?
So brownfield is much lower. No, it's faster to build it up. Your other cost of land infrastructure is not there, so it is much lower than a greenfield. Your team is also there, so all those things take care of it.
So I believe right now our payback period is up to 4 years in the brownfield, right?
Yes, absolutely correct.
In the case of greenfield, it will be
around
5 years, or it can be 6 years?
Between 5 to 6 years. Difficult to put an exact number, but between 5 to 6 years.
Understood, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Sunil Shah from Turtle Star Portfolio Management Service. Please go ahead.
Yeah, sir, I'm referring to the slide 6 of the presentation. Sir, we are talking about a capital expenditure of 2,250 crores. And in that 2,250 crores, we are having that carbon black expansion for which we'll be doing 450 crores. So technically, it is 1,600 crores for our tire expansion as well as modernization. Yes. Now that 1,600 crores will increase our capacity by 75,000 tons is what I understand.
Absolutely.
And roughly, if I understand, what we have done in this quarter is, let's say, 75,000 tons, on which we have generated an EBITDA of 550 crores. So with this capital expenditure of 1,600 crores, it results into incremental EBITDA of 550 crores. Is my understanding correct on this? Assuming same price, everything remains same. Is it fine?
Theoretically, yes. Assuming all the other factors don't change, this is absolutely correct.
Okay. So it's an incremental capital expenditure which generates about 30% return on investments for me going forward as well.
Yes. That's why, if you see, that's why we are talking about 4 years, no? If you put the maths together, it will come to 4 years.
4-year paybacks. Okay. Fine, sir. Thank you very much for this clarification. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, perfect. Perfect numbers, sir.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Ashutosh Tiwari from Equirus Securities. Please go ahead.
Yeah, sir. So you mentioned that this inventory at dealer level is around 1.5 to 2 months. So is this normal inventory that we see, or this is lower or higher than normal?
Slightly lower because of the demand. They also reduced their inventory slightly.
Okay. And you said Euro hedge rate is around 89 rupees something going ahead. So this is like, say, for how much period? Because if I remember correctly, in annual report, as of March, your hedging levels have come down versus what it was last year. So this rate is for what period?
The 3 months.
For the next 3 months, you're saying? Okay. And lastly, on the India's sales volumes, what would be mix of agri and OTR?
So on the euro hedge rate, for the forward hedge rate going is 89.70. If that's your question.
Yeah, that's for the next 3 months. You're saying.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. And last question is that in terms of in India volumes, what would we mix in terms of agri and OTR?
Roughly about 40% agri and 60% industrial construction OTR.
Okay. And in India, basically, while agri was weak, OTR and construction would have done better, OTR and mining.
Yeah, but first half was under lockdown for practically whole of India in the first quarter, and that's why the impact is here.
No, so if you look at Q2 numbers, how much growth would have happened in, say, OTR and mining volume in India? Any color on that, rough numbers?
No, I don't have the breakup numbers for that as of now.
Sure. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Jinesh Gandhi from Motilal Oswal. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Just wanted to clarify the external carbon black sales you mentioned was 5,000 tons in second quarter. What would be revenue for this?
So just under 3% of total revenue.
Okay. Thanks. That's all from my side. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I now hand the conference over to the management for closing comments.
So, yeah, thank you to everybody for taking out time and coming to this phone call. Till next quarter, please take care, stay safe, and, be careful. Thank you.
Thank you very much. On behalf of ICICI Securities Limited, that concludes this conference. Thank you for joining us. You may now disconnect your lines. Thank you.